Oh yeah, Cashapp. Oh yeah, Cashapp.
Good afternoon, people. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Listen, I want to share with the people a couple things. You understand? You already know we sipped on that seltzer. You guys see the title of the video. I'm not gonna get into that immediately. A couple of house cleaning issues. So, been out of pocket for a week or so. Yeah, spent the last 12 days or so in Florida, as you probably well know if you follow me on IG, Snap. Yeah, just kind of laying low. A lot of thinking. Before I get into all that, Shout out to Giannis. I kind of touched on briefly the NBA Finals, and again, I know a lot of you guys probably don't care about sports too much, but we have to give honor where honors due. Not only am I happy that Chris Paul didn't win, I'm also happy LeBron wasn't mentioned. He wasn't relevant. It wasn't his business. Giannis, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, all them boys, they put in work. It's something you love to see, and it kind of ties in today's video as far as what I would reference the mama mentality. I always put Giannis and Russell Westbrook in that group of individuals who kind of have that difference. Like these boys, that they're different. You have to pay them good money. You understand? And then you go on the court and you see the output. You see immediately the impact that they have on the people around them, and of course, obviously the objective at hand. I'm happy for Giannis. To finally get his. The constant talk was all these MVPs, nothing to show for it in postseason. He finally got his. Shout out to Giannis. I'm excited for people who work hard, who have the right mindset, the humility that he moves with, and then to finally have an end result that matches. That is the ultimate goal. Spent the last 12 days in Florida, really kind of digging in and kind of reflecting on my current life and the things that may or may not be impacting me, as it relates to my mental health. Obviously, anxiety has been a thing. I've tweeted about it and I've kind of referenced it in my stories, just how living with anxiety gave me a whole new appreciation for those who also deal with anxiety. It takes a certain level of immersion, if you will, to actually relate to someone. We all experience pain. We all know what pain feels like, but it takes us to another level when you're able to relate on a experience-based, metric to go through the same exact thing. Because anxiety is not usually based on one specific thing. Anxiety can be based off purely nothing, meaning your imagination just ran away with this is wrong, or nothing's wrong, or something could be wrong, or the future might hold something that I'm not prepared for. It's an interesting topic of anxiety and the triggers, the stimuli. So, spent the last 12 days. Shout out to my boy Mike down in Florida who hosted and, paid for everything. One thing I'm starting to notice, and it's something I'm paying very close attention to, is my own reaction to other people's kindness and how I must learn to react properly. A man's pride is probably the number one enemy to his progress. It's something I'm constantly measuring as far as if I need help, how long do I go and how long do I struggle before I ask for said help? I've also posted that anxiety sometimes, and in most cases, in some cases, and possibly your case, might be a sign that you are doing the job of two people. Anxiety might be a sign that you're doing the job of two people. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you might be doing the job of two people. Minimum. There's an issue that you see in today's society where we think we don't need other people. For some reason, we feel that we are strong, independent, interdependent, whatever term you want to use. We don't need the help of other people. We can get there fast. We can get there quick. We can go alone. And for some reason, we feel it's necessary to not ask for help, even though it could be clear as day that you cannot make the bed by yourself in 2 minutes flat. And you see that in the military, how they'll put you in predicaments where you're forced to work together. You're forced to team up and achieve something. So, I'm really addressing my pride in a lot of ways. Meaning, if I'm not equipped to address something, I need to immediately ask for help. Yes, I can be resourceful. Yes, I can search on the internet and do my research and try to understand it for my own, benefit. I do like to know things. I don't like being just told things and then say, I'm not going to verify it and go study for myself. But there comes a time where You realize, all right, professionally, I'm not equipped. Educationally, I'm not equipped. Experientially, I'm not equipped to handle certain things by myself. And I'm not sure where this started as far as we as people, we as humans, we get to a certain point where we're struggling, we're drowning, we're treading water, and we won't grab the life raft. We won't scream help. For what? Why would we drown in real time? And there's people right next to us with possibly a solution. Shout out to everybody in the chat. It's interesting. It's interesting. So yeah, I spent the last 12 days in Florida really reflecting on the military, why I'm here, should I be here? Is it time to make a move? Is it time to make a change? I'm coming up August 1st or so. The month of August will mark roughly 1 year left on my contract. My contract expires August 22, 6-year contract. It feels like an eternity. That, good Lord, how long is 6 years, Brad? How long is 6 years supposed to take? But yeah, that's where we find ourselves approaching August. I'm in my cross training window. A lot of big decisions to be made here, and the 12 days in Florida was imperative that I kind of use that time of an environment that kind of lacks stress, because again, Florida's amazing. It's one of my favorite states. It's top five. It's top five. But yeah, just using that environment and the opportunity to kind of just reflect on what direction do I need to go in. I'm not going to go into the details of my conclusion because it's not. I'm sitting around 90% on my conclusion of, all right, this is what I need to do, and I'll get into that, probably later this month or so, or just later in the process. But yeah, it was imperative that I really reflect on, and you kind of see in the title of the video, my happiness. Is my happiness relevant? Should I even consider being happy, especially as it relates to a military career? I'm approaching 5 years in the military. And if you ask me directly, are you happy in the Air Force, in your current state, in your current base, in your current career field? Are you happy? The answer is not even close. It's an easy no. It's an easy no. It's an easy no. Which brings us to our cross-training window. All right, if you're not happy in your career field, are you, embarking on changing that? The answer is yes. Are you happy with active duty? The answer is no. The answer is no. So we find ourselves in a place where we're considering our options. And you guys know I value my options and my ability to change environments and create change in my life, not simply react to it. What options do I have available to me? What can I change in my current life that could possibly improve my happiness, if it's at all relevant? Again, we're back to that question of, should I even focus on happiness at all? Are feelings relevant? Should we even consider feelings? A lot of talk of facts over feelings, goal-oriented, destination-oriented. Again, a lot of theories and principles I preach to my own self. My own videos have told the masses, don't focus on your feelings. Your feelings are irrelevant. Don't focus on motivation. You feel sad, you feel tired, you feel hungry, you feel all these feelings. Cool. Doesn't matter. Focus on discipline, focus on consistency. All right. And again, in my own head, I have these same quotes floating around. I'm like, all right, you told them, don't focus on feelings, focus on destination. And so as I eat what I'm preaching and I reflect on the same rhetoric that I've given to other people and advice I've given to other people, I'm like, don't worry about anxiety, don't worry about depression, don't worry about this, don't worry about that. Focus on this, focus on this, focus on this. It's not wrong, but there comes a time and place where you have to address your priorities and the order thereof. What's number one? 3 or 4 basic questions. What matters most? What matters now? What matters more? And it's not something that tends to be set in stone. It's something that's ever changing. You're constantly addressing what matters most in my life, what matters now in my life, and what matters more than what I'm doing now. It's wisdom, the ability to address and discern the difference between objectives, variables, stimuli. So, yeah, cross training window sitting at 4.5 years or so. Well, closer to 5 years, actually. I can admit the fear I have. And I'm not sure enough people talk about this from an active duty standpoint, and especially from a 28-year-old standpoint. Am I willing to change gears? Am I willing to start over? Seemingly, of course, because again, we have more options. With every mistake you make, you lose options, but with every quality decision, you should be creating more options, different options. So, as I sit here at 28 years old, Canada, New Mexico, I ask myself, what are you losing, or what would you be giving up to leave active duty Air Force to go do something else, something different, create change, embark on that business you want to start, moving to a different state, taking more risk? There's no right answer. And I will admit to you, I do not have the answer. I don't have 1,000% assurances. A lot of people hit me with my DMs and they're asking me these kind of vague questions of, they want assurances about the following, this, and will this happen? Will I be disqualified? Will I be able to get this job? Is a 4-year contract really better than 6-year? Will I enjoy the military? Will I be happy in the military? Will the military solve my problems? And I can only tell you a principle. Most of the answers I give to people, especially when I do my one-on-one consults, it's a principle that we arrive at together. It's a principle. It's never a specific outcome because I can't give those. Will I be happy in the military? I don't know. Is this a good job for me? I don't know. Will I be able to get that job? I don't know. Will I be disqualified? I don't know. Will they give me a waiver for this? I do not know. Can't know. So a lot of us, including myself, we would love to have the answer before we make the decision. We would love to know the outcome of the battle, the movie. How does this story end? I will admit, and I can imagine this is something that other people need to hear. We could easily pause at the David Goggin videos and the Jocko Willink videos of the Navy SEAL mindset, and we have to kill them before they kill us, and we run 1,000 miles, and then once our foot breaks in half, we just keep running, and we don't care about nothing else, and there's nothing else that matters. We just go. We would. It's real easy to turn that on and just kind of get lost in that and have them kind of just rev you up long enough to where you just, all right, whatever I'm dealing with, I'll just do it anyway. I'll just go. It's real easy to just turn that on. The Eric Thomases of the world, the Gary V's of the world, the people that kind of speak very aspirationally and very inspirationally and motivationally. But what I feel like it's more valuable to hear a David Goggins type person say, I was afraid. I was afraid. That decision, I had almost no answers. I had no information. You rarely hear that from our leaders, from those who have gone before us and done these and take certain risks. You rarely hear them say, I was afraid. Because in hindsight, their story sounds better when they say, I saw the lion and I just jumped over there with my bare hands and I knew the lion will succumb to my power. And the big fish stories, they're only good for temporary motivation. But it's the people that I love to listen to that say, I was afraid. I did not know what to do. I feared for the worst. I did not want to start over. I did not want to make a bad decision, a low quality decision. Those people that I seek out to hear their stories, the people who have dealt with mental health and dealt with the issues that you really can't put your finger on as far as, I don't know why I'm feeling like this. I don't know what the cause of my anxiety is. I don't know what is causing me to feel this way. I would rather hear their stories than someone who's just kind of always victorious. And you have no contrast in your stories. You're always on top. Cool. But that's not the full story. That's not the full truth. So I will admit to you today that I'm afraid. I mentioned in my last live stream, one of the number one variables that kept me in the military in terms of my need or my want, my will to stay and do 20 years was fear. It was fear. There's something about the security of the military that, it lulls you to sleep. I've mentioned this in many previous videos, especially as you stay in longer and longer, you get accustomed to a certain level of security and stability and predictability. 1st and 15th, there will be a deposit of a certain amount of money. And of course, over time, you just kind of, you grow habits that surround your stability. I can spend this amount of money because I know based on this state and probably maybe federal or USA, the deposit of money on this date, and I can live paycheck to paycheck for the next 6 years. And it's all kind of predictable. It's kind of stable knowing when things typically happen. Well, and of course, when I was civilian, that's what kind of drove me to the military. That's what I just, if I can just get over there, I know this will be better and that'll be better. And I don't got to pay rent. I got BH. I ain't got to pay for food. I got BS, and I got base pay. It improves every time I promote or my dependency status change. I can make more money over here, and then tax benefits when I deploy and all these different entitlements. You never lose track of those things. But it comes a moment where you realize if I leave the military, if I leave active duty, these following things that I've come to rely on and I come to enjoy, honestly, though I lose those things. Well, that's the point. That's the point. When you have ambitions and you have goals and you have an acquired taste like I do as it relates to luxury and certain lifestyles and certain options, you realize the military is not the place where you come to get rich. A lot of people are able to leverage the military, but military itself, by itself, you don't come here to be rich. And rich simply being, in my opinion, being the ratio between your debt and your income, or your expenses and your income. As long as you're making more than you're spending, you should be accruing every single month. So beyond that, there's no answer. There's no answer. You want to keep what you have. You want to gain more. You want to gain better or different without losing what you currently have. But there comes a time in your life when the happiness is not there and you realize the value of it. You realize, all right, what do I have now that I can trade for a little bit more happiness? What do I currently have that I could possibly trade for can I get 20% more happiness on a Monday morning? How much does that cost? What do I have to give up? Nice apartment? If that gets me more plane tickets, could I go from a 1-bedroom to a studio? Would that improve my ability to travel more or see more friends? Or do I get more flexibility in this area because I gave that up? What could I give up? Can I give up active duty, which means I could possibly go to the Guard or reserves and work 1 week in a month, or go to AGR position and work 4 days a week versus 5, 10-hour days. It's a constant battle between pursuing and keeping what you have and gain. And, obviously you want to gain interest on what you currently have, but then you say, I want that too. And you say, how do I keep this and pursue that without diminishing this? And of course the answer is wisdom. The answer is wisdom. Wisdom is what I turn to during times of turbulence. You never want to be in a place where you can never recognize a better option. You never want to enter a predicament where you cannot recognize a better option. Meaning you have your mind set on one thing so much. I have to do active duty. I have to do 20 years in the military, that you cannot recognize, hey, that's way better than what I was trying to do. That's way more efficient. That's way more effective. That's a easy decision. One thing I've reflected on in the last 12 days, I'll go ahead and share with you. It was quite simple. It was so simple. I was like, bro, why didn't I think of this earlier? My love of traveling, my love of options tends to come from my cash flow. This apartment, for one, my lease is month to month at this place, which is quite rare in nature. It's a very nice apartment. It's the nicest apartment I've ever lived in. The nicest apartment I've ever lived in. With that being said, it's constantly brought to my attention from my month to month expenses that obviously I'm paying way more over BH, which I did intentionally because I'm like, when I come home, I want to come home to quality. I want to come home to sounds I can identify and animals I can identify and leaks I can identify and air conditioning that doesn't work. I didn't have time for any of that. You understand? I'm too busy. I'm too busy to deal with those issues. It's kind of like car issues. I hate car issues. When I press the button, I want the car to do what it was designed to do every time. Not 3 out of 4. Every time I want that, I push the button and the car responds. So, but one thing I've noticed is that when I end the month and I pay all my bills and all that, the money that's left, it's not conducive to what I've been accustomed to in terms of having options. And I'm like, am I spending more than I could be spending as it relates to the other options I would like to have? Has the apartment that I've gotten or acquired, has that ran off options that I typically have had in the past? It's not about apartment. It's about options. It's about trade-offs. It's about wisdom. What is the driving force of your happiness typically? Typically. It takes some self-awareness, some self-assessing, really the ability to look at yourself objectively. Like just go outside of yourself and look back at yourself and say, what makes Ray happy typically in most cases? And not something that falls under a vice such as sugar or alcohol or drugs or what have you. We all have our vices. So we're trying to avoid the vices. We're trying to just say what makes me happy that is more or less healthy. It doesn't end in regret after being pursued. And so my conclusion was to lower and to eliminate any expense that does not lead or translate to happiness, if that makes sense. To eliminate any expense that does not translate to my happiness. What does it look like practically? Downgrading the apartment. Downgrading the apartment. The apartment leads or translates to my comfort. My comfort. Comfort is not happiness. Obviously, because there's two different words, but because if you look at the source, they're two different things. The stimuli is different. The stimulus is different. And so, just kind of reflecting over the last 12 days, I've realized that there are a lot of things in my life, I've had excess of, I've had surplus. When I get back to what it really means to be essentialism, to be essentialist, you realize, all right, I have too much stuff, and the stuff I have is not translating to the desired end result that I have for it. I sold 2 cameras while I was in Florida. I had too many. The purpose I bought 2 cameras for was because when I was in Alaska, I was constantly traveling between the base I was stationed at Clear Air Force Station, and then I was going to either Fairbanks or Anchorage. And I didn't like taking down my camera setup every single time. So I bought 2 of the same camera, one for travel, one for to stay in the room. Well, I no longer have that issue. So I'm like, why do I have 2 cameras? The point being is that, and I'm gonna get to the comments as well. I see everybody commenting. Go ahead and drop any questions you guys have or any comments. We'll definitely get to it in a second. But yeah, that's the end result I kind of came to is you start noticing all the fluff. It's kind of like having a fatty liver, type 2 diabetes, where there's an overload of sugar, fructose that we don't have a reason for it. It's more or less a poison. It's not necessary. It's vestigial in nature. Remove the fluff and realize what is truly essential to my life, to my everyday being. What do I need to function? One thing I constantly reflect on, and I've told this story so many times on the channel, is the happiest time of my life was when I was broke. Happiest time of my life. When I was playing piano full time. Rest in peace, Bishop Sturtevant just passed a couple weeks ago, I believe. But yeah, I was playing full-time piano at her church. I worked three hours a week, if that. I would go to church, play piano, and that was my job. I was happy. Didn't pay a ton of money. I was making like $200 a week. I was making about $200 a week. My rent was $500. So I had about $500 to play with after paying rent. That's enough to get groceries, a gym membership, a little bit of gas, and that was about it. Cell phone was on. I was living. But I was happy. I kid you not that having maybe $20 to play with per month was the happiest time of my life because I had my time. I knew what I valued, especially in hindsight now, just reflecting on it. I knew what I valued, and I still know what I valued. But I've changed how I pursued it, what I've been pursuing currently. Back then, I valued my time. I valued my ability to just go to the gym and hoop and work out. And obviously, I wish I would have been involved in YouTube back then and pursuing, online business and things like that. But you can't help but reflect on those moments where I was happy. Monday morning, I would wake up happy. It's Monday. What can I do today? What can I do? I'm happy. Whereas now I have stability. I have more money to play with. Money accrues. I have more options now. But I'm not happy. I had a chance this past 12 days to speak to someone who's quite well off. Very, very different tax bracket than mine. This guy's different. His house, you guys, if you follow me on Instagram or Snap, you probably missed the stories unless you saw them. They should still be on the YouTube stories because I believe they last a week or so on YouTube. So if you want to see the house out that I was in, it was different. Oh my goodness. So I had a chance to, we was talking just about, various things, politics and, religion and just things like that. But I asked him, like, are you, and in so many words, I asked him, are you happy with your current state in terms of, your financial wealth? And of course, the answer was no. I don't want to say, of course, like you knew, or assume you didn't know. But the answer was no. The answer was no. He said he would trade it for what he really values, which we didn't really get into that. I don't know what he truly values, but money for him, he mentioned how once you reach a certain point, you stop valuing money the way you did when you didn't have the money, which I believe, according to like some stat, it's roughly about 70K, where you start noticing, all right, money doesn't have the same effect on me that it used to. It's kind of like a video game where you have billions of dollars and you keep buying whatever you want. You buy whatever you want. You buy whatever you want. And you realize, all right, the game's kind of boring now because there's no more pursuit. There's no more plot. There's no more uphill grind. It's not fun anymore. I don't have to earn anything. Everything's just accessible. I'm not saying the military is like that because we are not rich by any means. Trust me on that. But my point being is that there comes a point where stability is not fulfilling. I'm not fulfilled by stability. There's something about predictability that kills the spirit, where you know what's going to happen every single day, every single week, every single month of every single year of your contract. It's something that kills the human spirit of not having adventure, excitement, mystery. That's what kills marriages, relationships. The quickest way, little side tangent. You guys know I enjoy a good tangent. The quickest way to kill a relationship, quickest way to lose a spark in a relationship is moving with somebody. That's how sparks just kind of go out. In most cases, because some people are very talented at keeping the spark alive in their relationships. But the quickest way to kill the spark in relationship is to move in with someone. Why? Because as knowledge increases, seduction decreases. The more you know about somebody, the less mystery there is, which means you lose the ability to imagine. It's why sundresses and yoga pants, they're more powerful than naked body. Why? Because you have to imagine what's under there. It's crazy. It's absolutely ridiculous how someone who has more clothes on is more seemingly attractive than someone who's just butt naked. It's interesting. There's something about having more knowledge about a situation that it just kind of kills the fun. Before I worked at the Pentagon was this absolutely just mysterious, the sacred. Don't go in there. It's the stone building, the Department of Defense headquarters. And then after you work there for 8 months, you just, gotta go to work. It's the Pentagon. So, same with the Air Force, same with before anything begins. You have this sense of awe and if I could just get to the Air Force, I could just serve my country and the troops and the ground troops. And then you get here, you realize, it's just the Air Force. Yeah, I got to work tomorrow. Yeah, I took leave. I got TDY, I got PCS, got to deploy. Once you deploy your first time, you thought it was going to be a certain way. You thought it was going to be Call of Duty or Warzone or, Fortnite. And then you get there, it's actually kind of like Garrison a little bit, except it's different. It's different. Relationships like that, where you see someone and you only see them once a week. When you see them on weekends, you see them once or twice a week. You go on a date, and for that hour or two, everything is perfect because everybody's putting their best foot forward. Everybody is trying to manage the first impression, the reputation, the lasting impression. Everyone is smelling good. Everybody, I got a haircut. I'm trying to look different. Smell good. You brushed your mouth that day. You bathed, quite well and in depth. And you try to hit the corners that are typically avoided. Everyone is putting their best foot forward for that 1 or 2 hours in that day of, I just want to engage with this person and just have this moment. But then if you move with them and you see this person is filthy, they don't clean their microwave. There's something spilled in the fridge and they didn't clean that. They left it there to marinate. Their shower is dirty. They use toilet paper instead of baby wipes. You start seeing people in the true light, in their true nature, in their true comfort. You realize, they're just human. You're a regular person. That's the quickest way to kill a relationship or the spark. And not so much relationship, but a spark. And that spark only exists in mystery. I'm in that current place in the military where the spark is gone. Now, this is where you ask the question, well, do you really need a spark in terms of your everyday life? Like, do you constantly need to be in that phase of mystery and the unknown and you're so special, the mystery behind something? Does that constantly need to be there? Do you constantly need to be in a place of discovery? And my answer a couple years ago may have been no. You just commit and you discipline, you're consistent, and the troops and the ground troop. No, my answer today is quite different. There's something about risk that is necessary not only to get a higher return on investment. You have to have some skin in the game, but beyond that, you're only going to live once. So I don't see the point of living a mundane, cubicle-based, predictable life when I'm going to die one day. I'm going to die one day. You're going to die one day. And again, this conversation tends not to come up until someone has died, until we have died, or a close loved one has died. And then all of a sudden, kind of, for usually, 24-hour period or a week, we kind of reflect on our life and the value of life, and then we kind of go back to our daily schedules. I've constantly talked on this channel about my morning schedule and getting up at a certain time and make sure that I get certain things accomplished every single day before I go to work. That's perfect. But there comes a moment where I want to live, and not predictably, but I want to live an adventure. Not that I'm living chaotically, but I don't have control of everything. One thing you'll notice in the military is that you don't have control, but you don't need a lot of control. You don't need to worry about life insurance or your dental insurance or your eye insurance or, where your check's coming from or your rent or, there's ways to squander and to live foolishly. But a lot of things are taken care of for you. A lot of things are taken care of for you. They've thought of everything in most cases before you got here. So you're not worried about, where do I live? Well, there's on-base housing. If you want to live on base, you can just apply for on-base housing. How do I get around? These things have been addressed way before you got here. That spark tends not to exist in a long career unless you're doing a lot of transitioning, a lot of changing, such as switching jobs or deploying a lot or PCSing a lot. And even that can be predictable relative to how often you do it, the more you know about it. So I'm in that current place where I'm realizing I don't value stability or predictability as much as I thought I did. My actions show that I'm constantly pursuing those things relative to the environment I'm in. I'm in the military. I'm not pursuing what I thought I pursued. As much as I talk about my love of travel and exploration and seeing the world, I really haven't seen that much of the world. And if I did switch into a traveling AFSC such as loadmaster or flight attendant or boom operator, something like that, I still wouldn't be traveling the way I want to be traveling. I will be going and moving around at the pace of the mission. That's still not how I want to travel. If I went to Korea, I'm trying to be off base like consistent, like the entire time. I'm not trying to be working 12s. Or if I go to Ramstein and they immediately just you work 12 shift work, all that. I'm in Germany. I'm trying to see everything. All that tells me is that if I want something different, then my pursuit has to be different. If I want something different than everyone else has, I can't do the same thing everyone else is doing. I can't stay in this position of comfort and stability and predictability if I want something that's adventure-based or discovery-based or spark-based or there's mystery and there's exploration, adventure. I can't do both. And I've been trying to. I've been trying to do the military thing, do 20 years, get the guaranteed check, also do the YouTube thing. Can I truly do both? Well, the issue is, yes, I can do both, but I'll have to do it not being happy. You don't understand how long a week is, a 24-hour period is, when every moment feels like an eternity. When you feel like every moment is an hour long, every day is a week long, every week is a year long. Imagine 20 years of simply not being happy. How many times do I need to go to mental health to realize, all right, maybe this is not it. Try something different. Try something different. I constantly talk about creating change. Constantly talk about that, creating change, not reacting to it, not waiting for it to happen to you, but creating it, which means if your goal tells you this is the following actions that are required of you if you want to go there. If you want to go overseas, you need a passport. There's no negotiating. That's the route you have to take. You must accomplish that. And there are people like myself who are saying, you know what, I'm gonna try to go overseas, but I'm gonna try to do it a different way. I don't need the passport. I'm gonna take a raft over there. A rubber raft, inflatable raft, cool. I'm gonna do that and bypass customs and bypass everything else. No. And even if you do achieve the ability to go overseas, you're gonna hit a ton of friction. It's meant to be harder because you're going way out of the way to do something that's already been, there's a path for it already. There's a path for it. I'm not saying that my way is not possible. It's maybe highly probable that I could achieve what I want through this current path I'm on. But what if there's a better way? Am I so locked into this one way of thinking that way is not, that's a better way right there. I may not want that option, but it might be a better option. Objectively, that might be the better option for me. So that's where my mind's at right now. I don't dislike the Air Force whatsoever, and I don't plan on leaving the Air Force completely because obviously, PALS Chase, PALS Front, the options to go to Guard, Reserve, those exist. And again, I value options. And so, yeah, my conclusion after 12 days of walking the beach every single day, working out every single morning, eating relatively healthy. I'll do an update on Carnivore probably later on this stream. But yeah, I've realized a lot of things that, all right, it's time to make a move. Something has to change. The apartment got to go. As much as I like this apartment, it's got to go, bro. It's too much overhead. I don't need this huge apartment. I don't need this luxury apartment. I don't need to live in the dirt or sleep in my car, but I need to find a balance between I don't want to spend this much money on this apartment every single month. And so it's just realizing what's essential to my happiness. Do I have options currently that I have not even looked at because I'm overspending in a different area? If I want to eat more food, increase the grocery budget by subtracting the drug and alcohol and DUI and all these other categories that I don't need those categories if I want this over here. So that's where we're at. I know I'm talking for a while, but I believe happiness does matter. I believe your happiness does matter. It's imperative that you seek it out for yourself. It's a state of being that's free. Everyone is constantly trying to sell you happiness, but it's a state of being that's free. But a lot of us make it more expensive. It's free already to be happy. But yet, a lot of us are paying the expensive price of trying to look happy. And we're trying to buy all these things like fancy apartments. And like, yeah, it looks great on the gram. It looks great in the background of a video. Trust me, the vanity is there. The vanity is there. I know that if I can just get a nice backdrop of I don't want no green screen. I want a nice environment to live in. But also it looks good on the gram. It looks good in my stories. It looks good on my YouTube. But it doesn't translate to my happiness. It translates to a bill. So, yeah, no more. One thing I love having is very low expenses. It gives you so many options. You realize I don't need to make a ton of money if I have very low expenses. The only way I was able to live off $200 a week was because my rent was only $500, everything included. Didn't have a car note. Also didn't have car insurance. I had a very cheap cell phone plan, and a gym membership. I don't have kids everywhere. I'm not paying child support, alimony. I don't have 10 mouths to feed every single month. I have one. And not that that's the way to live endlessly, but proportionally, it works. For one person, you shouldn't have 1,000 expenses. Thank God that thankfully I don't have gambling issues and drug issues and alcohol issues. So it's about realizing, all right, happiness does matter. And believe it or not, a lot of it's in your control. A lot of your happiness and your ability to achieve it and to pursue it, it's in your control. Things like anxiety, depression, it might be, who knows? Little Carnivore update as it relates to mental health. So I was asking my last live stream, when will you eat carbs again? Because I believe that day 17 or 18 when I made the last live stream or so, and I broke down day one of being in Florida. Day one, broke bread something awful for like 4 or 5 days straight, just breaking bread, just whatever I get my hands on. I was like, bro, let me get that pizza, bro. Let me get them Twinkies over there, bro. Let me get them donut junks, bro. Let me get them cinnamon junks, man. Let me get all that. And of course, got bloated, face blew up again, and just like your body just, yeah, we missed you. Thank you. Come back to us, you overweight bastard. We missed you. And I immediately had to change it back. I'm like, no. And luckily, my friend had a fridge full of steaks, filet mignon. Who has this much filet mignon just sitting around? So yeah, I was making steaks every day, and so yeah, probably back day 5 or 6 right now, back on Carnivore, and immediately it's crazy how quickly you get the results back. You obviously you lose some ground, but you immediately feel a difference between eating a steak and how you feel the rest of the day, and eating pies and donuts and crap. It's night and day. It's night and day. So, yeah, definitely back on the carnivore train. Not only is it necessary for me to do while I'm in the military, while I'm here at Canon, but also just to do as a lifestyle. So I guess I need to address as far as the consistency piece. It is imperative that you be consistent. And of course, that's probably the biggest thing with me is, so I might as well touch on this real quick. I'll save that for later. The point being is that, yeah, carnivore only works when you're consistent. It's a lifestyle, which means you can have carbs, but the rule is you don't eat carbs, if that makes sense. For the most part, for most of the time, you're not eating carbs. But when you do eat carbs, it's going to go straight to your glycogen for the most part. Your liver glycogen, your muscle glycogen. It's going to be stored in your muscles. If you overeat carbs, it's going to be stored as fat. It's going to turn off your ability to burn fat as fuel. You'll be burning carbs as fuel. So that's a little update. Definitely enjoying it. Yeah, I got back from Florida this morning. Missed my connection in Dallas. It's the whole thing, but yeah, grateful. We make some changes. Go back to work tomorrow. We make some changes and some adjustments, and we'll see what the future holds for your boy. See who's in this chat. See if y'all got any questions down here. See, Raven was good. JP says, I think happiness comes to you when you're not actively seeking it, particularly when you are helping others. You can't force yourself to be happy. I agree with 1/3 of your statement. To think that happiness comes to you when you're not actively seeking it, I would. It's a level of personification that you give to happiness as if it pursues you. I'm not sure how that works. Or like to wake up and like kind of accidentally be happy. It seems a bit fateful, or like kind of relying on something that's not predictable or something you can't control. I believe you have full control. Your next statement kind of contradicts your last one. So when you say, particularly when you are helping others, if you help someone intentionally and you know that you feel good by doing so, it's cause and effect. You have more control over the outcome more than you think. It's kind of like when we eat sugar, or if we do drugs and drink more, or drink alcohol and drink more alcohol, you know the end result of doing that is a certain feeling. Everything we do is in pursuit of a feeling. So it's not crazy to think that if I do something that makes me happy, like traveling or taking a nap, and then at the end of the action, I'm happy, it kind of makes sense that I can continue to do that until it stops working. Kind of like that's why you have to take more and more drugs or drink more and more alcohol to get a certain end result. Luckily, nap's not like that. But yeah, I believe we have more control than we think we do. I think you can force yourself to be happy by doing certain things that invoke happiness, if that makes sense. Raven says, happiness is being yourself amidst societal rules and expectations. Happiness is being yourself amidst societal rules and expectations. I could think of many exceptions to that, such as if the rule is don't. I'm not gonna say that. Interesting. I'll say that. That's an interesting statement. I can think of plenty of ways that it's correct and plenty of ways that it's wrong. So I believe that subjective statement has a level of truth. I'll leave it at that. Wadner says you'd be losing free rent and free electricity and free meals. Yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. If I stay in active duty just for that, it's not worth it. I'd rather pay for my own and be happy than to get those things for free and be miserable. Because I'm pretty sure you get all those same things in prison. Yeah, pass. Raven mentions Palace Chase, Palace Front. That's one of the major options I'm looking at right now. Is Palace Chase. The Palace Front issues, as far as just waiting to the end of my contract and then directly transitioning into the guard. They're both options that I'm currently waiting on the table right now as far as which one do I want to do, the timing of me getting out, the transition period, and how do I want to go about that. So it's something still in the works. But yeah, two options that I'm greatly just considering right now. Raven asks, "What do you think of minimalism?" I'm huge. I'm real big on avoiding the extremes on a given spectrum. What will be the opposite of minimalism? Hoarding, I think. Minimalism is it's quite easy to be seduced by the concept of minimalism, especially as an aesthetic. When you see, like, if you just Google the word minimalism and you go to images and you just see what pops up there, that looks soothing. If you go to Pinterest or Tumblr or Instagram and you hashtag minimalism and you just see how that appears, it looks peaceful. It looks it's nice. It's just open. It's non-cluttered. Everything has its place, or no place. It's emptiness. It's nice. It's kind of like the ocean. The ocean's minimalist. There's not a ton of furniture on the ocean and just stuff. It's just when I want something to be not there, sometimes nothing is beautiful. Sometimes nothing is beautiful. I'm not an advocate of personally doing minimalism because, first of all, there's a better option, essentialism, where everything has a purpose. To have emptiness just for the sake of having emptiness, or nothing for the sake of having nothing, or having bare minimum for the sake of having bare minimum, that doesn't serve a purpose. I don't see, like, if I need something, or if there's a space that something can probably be utilized, utilize it. Essentialism makes a better option for me, where I don't need to have nothing. Like, my walls could be very much empty, or they could have something that influences me in a positive manner. I love that picture. I love that picture. It's perfect. Ask me what I like about it. Femininity. I don't know, but I love that picture. I love the clock over the TV. So those wall could be easily empty, but no, I found something that serves a purpose that looks good, solves a problem. So minimalism is not wrong. Some people find it soothing or perfect for their lifestyle or necessary for their lifestyle. I can't see where it fits in mine. But yeah, essentialism is where I kind of fall on the spectrum. Like, it's usually like one step right above minimalism, where everything in my life has to solve a problem. Before I had 3 cameras, now I have 1. Well, 2 actually. 1 for vlogging, 1 for the studio, 1 for the crib. And it still solves a problem. Like, to have 1 camera that does both, it's minimalist. I'm like, I don't want a minimalist setup. I want essential items that solve problems every single day, and I don't have to go out of my way to solve that problem when something has been designed or set in place to do so. So that's my thought. Great question. I'm not moving a mobile home. I do have a floor to my standards, where I'm like, all right, I'm not going below a certain threshold. Mobile home, anything on wheels, it's not happening. No, 6'2". I'm not standing up nothing. I gotta bend over. No, I'm not doing all that. Keep drinking that water. This is an interesting take. The grind to become rich, I feel like, is more rewarding than finally getting rich, if that makes sense. This is something that you constantly hear Gary Vee talk about. He talks about the pursuit of buying the jets versus actually achieving it. There's something about the uphill grind that everyone kind of finds a little bit of merit in, a little fulfillment in. It's really easy to relate to like video games. Grand Theft Auto is pretty much the only game I play when I do play it. Grand Theft Auto. You have the option to put in cheat codes. You can get all the things, all the stuff now. But what happens when you put the cheat codes in? The rest of it ceases to make sense. I don't want to play the missions. I don't want to go do the random stuff. I just want to get chased by the police, which they can't kill me because I got the invincibility in there now. It turns straight to chaos. There's something about the uphill grind that all of us kind of need in our lives. It's like having gravity. Without gravity, what's a pull-up? What's a push-up? We benefit from having a certain level of stress or eustress where it's just something that lets us know we're still alive. It's called pain. The mind cannot tell the difference between reality and pain. It's why you sweat when you have nightmares. It's why you jump and your heart rate's up while you're having a nightmare, because your mind cannot tell the difference between imagination and reality. The one variable that tells us that, hey, you're actually alive, you're actually experiencing something, is pain. Pain tells you, yeah, this is real. This could possibly kill you. This could possibly, impede your ability to survive or procreate, all those things. And so there's a certain level of stress that is necessary to our survival because it keeps us alive. Our frontal cortex and our limbic system, they respond to variables and they tell us, hey, that's a lion, bro. Run. Move out. So I 100% agree with you that the pursuit of a goal sometimes is better than actually achieving the goal. It's like if you do something for someone, they don't learn anything. But if you teach them how to fish, now they can feed their family endlessly instead of just handing them a fish. So 1,000% agree. 1,000% agree. Wadner asked, did you take the vaccine? I'm in the process of joining the Air Force, but I put it on hold because the vaccine might be required for military in September. I don't want to take it. I did take the vaccine. I took the Johnson & Johnson in Alaska. I know that was a controversial vaccine for those dealing with blood clots and what have you. I believe in the lungs. Haven't had any complications outside of the first 24 hours where I had flu symptoms and what have you. Haven't dealt with any issues since. That's your personal decision. If the vaccine is the one variable that keeps you from joining the military, then so be it. That will be your decision. Your body, your choice. And so, I don't ever blame anybody for not wanting to take a vaccine or, go against your personal beliefs. Cool. But just realize, even if there wasn't a COVID vaccine, there will still be other vaccines. Just make sure you're consistent. Flu vaccines, peanut butter shot, all these things that, chicken pox, things that you probably would have taken normally in the civilian world or probably already have taken. Yeah, there's other vaccines that you just have to take anyway, just because of the nature of the military and the set rules and regulations. So just be aware of those other vaccines that exist, that even if there wasn't a COVID vaccine, there would still be this vaccine or these lists. It's like, I think it's like seven shots or 13 shots or something that you get anyway outside of that Johnson & Johnson or the Moderna or whatever. So just keep that in mind. You want to be objective in your decision making, but again, that's your personal decision. So JP says, my goal was always to build up a decent retirement so that I could retire at 55, still young enough to enjoy travel and free time. See, and I feel like a lot of people fall into that category of just I think a lot of people don't have the huge Mayweather lifestyle kind of planned out for themselves, where they're not shooting for the stars in every single category. I have to drive this foreign. I got to live in this neighborhood in Bel Air and Beverly Hills. I have to have a private jet on the runway on standby, and this lawyer's a retainer. I don't think a lot of people have that huge ambition. I think a lot of people might just want to be happy, to wake up and not have a ton of stress like, oh, bills are due. No, I think most people just want to wake up and be able to pay the bills and not have to, bend over backwards to do so. So I I feel like that's very doable. It's just the way you go about it is something that I'm currently addressing as far as how do I go about achieving something that's quite basic in nature. Because again, I don't need the biggest house in the world. My car will be different, trust me on that. But yeah, I don't need the $1,000 shoes and chains all around my neck. No, I don't need all the fancy stuff. Just give me one or two things that I do enjoy, and the rest of it, I just want peace. You understand? Sometimes you just want peace. You just want peace. Good comment. Try to scroll down and see if we got any questions in there. Here's a question. Do you believe in population control? Here's the thing with population control. It's one of the most hilarious things that you hear, and it's not really hilarious. It's ironic. The people that, if you ever came across someone who complained about population control or said the population is too big, the U.S. is overpopulated, the world is overpopulated. The easiest way to kind of debunk that is ask that same person, would they volunteer as tribute to go first? It's a constant issue that the people that bring up population control are never willing to be part of the solution in terms of volunteering themselves and their family to go first, go off into the ether and go somewhere else. I don't believe the world's overpopulated. I don't think the U.S. is overpopulated. If you drive across the middle of the country, you drive across Alaska, California, New Mexico, Arizona, there's plenty of space. Drive across West Virginia, Pennsylvania, it's plenty of space. The people that want to live on top of each other in New York City, DC, Philly, if you want to live on top of people, you have that option. But there's plenty of space outside the town as well. You drive 10 minutes outside of DC, there's plenty of space. I was working out in West Virginia during the pandemic, and I was living in DC. And it was about an hour. I drove an hour to work out every day, go to Gold's Gym. And there's plenty of space. Just space everywhere. Now, of course, the way we want to live our lives, and as it relates to, are you growing your food or are you buying your food from a store? All these different variables to account for as it relates to accessibility and resources and the quality of living. But if we're just talking about population as it relates to being alive, the ability to procreate, eat, survive, drink water, clean water, we don't need a ton of space for that. But even if we did, we still got a ton of space. There's abundance. There's a surplus of real estate to go around. So it's always interesting. The people that point out, the world's overpopulated, they will never volunteer to go first. It's interesting. It's interesting. Almighty Moreland with the good stuff. What's up, Ray? Hope your next step goes well. Did you see Dr. Dre has to pay $300K monthly for spousal support? I've decided prenuptials are an absolute must in marriage at this point in our society. Here's the thing with Dr. Dre taking the L. Hey, honestly, I don't know. A lot of talks of prenups and avoiding marriage, and of course, you've probably heard it from me myself saying those very things. Of, make sure you get 2 lawyers, one for your spouse, one for yourself. Have something drafted up and reviewed by both lawyers. Get it signed at least 6 months to a year before the wedding. Avoiding all these duress type issues to possibly get thrown out. There's plenty of ways to prepare properly for marriage as it relates to financial assets and distribution later and trust funds and whatever. There's even like dusty ways I've heard about, like I'm put all my assets in my brother's name. Then I get married. I ain't got nothing. It's different. But yeah, his situation, there's a quote I live by. and it directly kind of correlates to that particular situation. You never truly know someone until they have the opportunity to benefit by hurting you. I'll say it again. You never truly know someone until they have the opportunity to benefit by hurting you. Divorce is a great opportunity to see how someone will treat you if they have the opportunity to benefit by hurting you. I know a lot of people. Well, I retract that statement. I know a couple people who have had the opportunity to benefit by hurting someone financially, and I've said no. They could have been on alimony, getting a check every single month the rest of their life. They chose not to. It's always interesting to observe those people from a distance and say, what made you say no to a guaranteed check the rest of your tax free? I also try to be objective in nature and put myself in those same shoes. Let's say I was married to a billionaire, and whether I initiated or they initiated, assets had to be distributed. You live in California, 50-50, right down the middle. Divorce affects whoever makes more money. Divorce, especially one that's outside of a prenup, there's no prenup in place. Divorce will affect whoever makes more money. If you're a stay-at-home dad, stay-at-home mom, the other person's the breadwinner, cool. Divorce will impact the person who makes more money. It has nothing to do with gender. Now, typically, we've seen a historical precedent of gender roles, and someone stays at home, someone goes to work, somebody. Cool. Things change. It's not up to me. You guys hear me. It's not up to me. But as you see things changing, you see people like Adele who are paying child support to her ex-husband. You see Halle Berry paying child support to ex-husband. This stuff affects whoever makes more money. So a better question would be, do I agree with child support or do I agree with alimony? It's not up to me. Again, it's not up to me. But again, you see what's necessary. You see what's the person. It's kind of like taxes. The person who votes for smaller government or big government, cool. People will vote based on the tax bracket they're currently in, not the one that they will be in. So people that want to tax the rich are probably not rich, because if they were, they would not be voting that way. People that want to tax the rich take the 1%'s wealth and give it to everybody else, they only say that because they're not 1%. If they became the 1% tomorrow, they would immediately change their mind. So if I were an opportunity to, I'm getting divorced and, my wife is leaving me, but she's, my wife, Oprah, she's on her way out. I said, listen, leave that bag over there. Could I walk away from $300K a month? Could anyone in the chat, 16 people watching, would anybody in the chat walk away from $300K a month? Be honest now. I would be irresponsible. I would be a liar to say that I would. So it comes down to intent. It comes down to true colors. And oftentimes you'll see at the end of a marriage that someone is perceived to be different than the beginning of the marriage. The things talked about in divorce court are never addressed at the wedding. Ever. It does not happen. Premarital counseling sounds nothing like a divorce court. Dating sounds nothing like a divorce court. If you want to know about marriage, study divorce. What happens in divorce court that happens nowhere else? The truth about marriage. So it's unfortunate for the man in this case. It's fortunate for her. She get a bag, $3.6 million a year. That's a different bag. That's till she die. That's till she gets remarried, which I doubt she'll do. That would be physically irresponsible. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, that's again. It comes down to the question: would you walk away from it? Because it's real easy to point the finger and say she was fake and she wasn't there for she was there for the all wrong reason. She wanted him for his money, but the question has to be asked: would you walk away from that? I don't know. I don't know anyone that's walking away from 300K a month because they want to do the right thing. Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. It's always interesting to see those things unfold, um, but it's kind of predictable at the same time. So I would stay on for a little bit longer, and then gotta go to bed. It's already 10. Goodness. Human asks, is the Air Force more lenient on accepting security forces candidates versus aviation jobs? Um, it's a very vague question. But in most cases, uh, there probably be more security forces jobs filled versus aviation jobs. Uh, Aviation jobs are, I'm not saying they're difficult to qualify for, but they're different to qualify for. Um, the security forces score that is required for on the ASVAB is a lot lower than the average job. So the barrier of entry might include more people getting into that one just by default versus an aviation job, which is in a lot of cases difficult to leave in terms of cross training, but a lot of variables at play. But essentially, it might be easier to get a security forces job than an aviation job. Um, so yeah, hope that answers your question. Human asks, do you believe in grounding, weak force interactions? Um, I do. There's something about nature that is not wrong. There's something about nature that is never wrong. I feel like nature always tells the truth. There's, it's weird. If you look at humans when we go on vacation, what do we do on vacations? In most cases, we go to the ocean. We go to some body of water somewhere, and we sit next to it. We get in the water and we move about. We get out, sit in the sun, and they tan, and I got a big tan since I was in Florida. But yeah, it's always interesting to see people go hike in the mountains and they find that peaceful. They find nature beautiful. Grounding, for those you don't know, is like walking barefoot, in the grass or sand or what have you. I did that every day when I was in Florida, walking on the beach. It seems to be a pattern between and a correlation between simply doing basic tasks, basic things, not being so caught up in the fads, what's trending, getting away from technology. I'm not saying technology is bad because I absolutely love technology, um, but it seems to be when you want peace, when you want to kind of get back to the simple things, when you want to have some form of stability in your life, you kind of just go to the basics. Walking barefoot. Not that socks are bad and evil and shoes are the devil and why would you ever wear clothing and I'm gonna go. No, I'm not saying nudity is the answer either, but there's something peaceful about it. There's something peaceful about our basic human nature of walking next to the water. It might be a correlation between the ocean and being in your mother's womb and hearing heartbeats and binaural beats and hearing nothing. You guys understand the value of silence? If you go to basic training, you will not value your silence more than when you first get to your first duty station, you get to your own room, and it's quiet. I wake up to the sound of air conditioning every single day. You don't know the value of that until you don't have that. I can sit on any plane with hundreds of little kids crying, little babies crying. I turn on my noise canceling headphones. I don't hear nothing. There's something peaceful about silence, something peaceful about nature that you really can't put your finger on. But yeah, as he pointed out, or he or she pointed out, grounding, just simply walking barefoot. There's something about it. The rise of ASMR, where you're just hearing stuff. it's you're hearing stuff, people whispering. Something quality about a hug. I don't know. But there's definitely some merit to that. Definitely some merit to that. Or even asked any crocodiles or sharks you have seen while in Sunshine State. Gratefully, neither. I'm a huge advocate of not going in pursuit of stuff. It would be very difficult for me to encounter a shark or crocodile in person, mainly because the areas that I frequent, I'm not supposed to see them. I'm not supposed to. I was on a boat maybe probably half the time I was there. Yeah, I love the ocean. Love the ocean. Love Florida. You won't catch me in nobody's water. You won't catch me in the ocean trying to swim and wade and let's see if I can go deep out into the ocean and discover, megalodon. Like, no. You'll catch me ankle deep, ankle deep, musing over my audiobooks, taking my time. But yeah, didn't see any crocs, didn't see any sharks. That's the way I prefer it, the way God intended. Well, I'm going to bed. I'm going to finish this Bud Light, finish this Powerade. Make sure I take my supplements, get my potassium, magnesium, sodium, take my creatine. And, but yeah, this has been a good stream. Happiness needs to be talked about. Happiness needs to be addressed. It seems to be a drought currently in our society where we've kind of removed the combination between logic and emotions or feelings and logic. And we've tried to separate the two and pretend like we don't need both. Like, that's not how that works. We must include both. The way we think, our consciousness includes both. So, rationality is the combination between emotion, feelings, and logic and desired end results and how we pursue those things. So that's the video. I'll see y'all next stream. I appreciate y'all joining in, participating. Appreciate y'all, for real. I appreciate y'all. See y'all next stream.